Hello and welcome back to our English course. Today, in Chapter 4, we're diving into a fundamental building block of English: singular and plural nouns. Understanding how to correctly form plurals is essential for clear communication, whether you're talking about one friend or many friends, one idea or several ideas. In this lesson, we'll cover everything you need to know. We'll start with the simple, regular rules that apply to most nouns. Then, we'll explore special spelling changes for words ending in certain letters. After that, we'll tackle the tricky, irregular plurals that you just have to memorize. We'll also learn about uncountable nouns, words for things you can't count, and how to talk about them correctly. Finally, we'll review common mistakes to help you avoid them. At the end of our lesson, there will be a quiz to test your new skills. Are you ready to become a master of nouns? Let's begin with the most basic concept. A singular noun refers to just one person, place, thing, or idea. A plural noun refers to more than one. One is singular, more than one is plural. It's as simple as that. Let's start with the most common rule, Rule 1. For most nouns, we simply add an es to make them plural. This is the pattern you'll see most often in English. Let's look at some examples from around us. In a classroom, you might see one desk, but many desks. One chair, but several chairs. One student and many students. Let's practice the pronunciation. Notice the S sound at the end. Repeat after me. Desk, desks, chair, chairs, student, students. Now let's think about things you might find at home. One window, two windows, one lamp, three lamps, one plant, four plants. Let's say those together. Window, windows. Lamp, lamps, plant, plants. This rule also applies to food. One apple, a bag of apples. One banana, a bunch of bananas. One carrot, a kilo of carrots. Great! Remember, this simple S is your go-to for the majority of English nouns. Now for Rule 2. When a noun ends in S, X, Z, CH, or SH, we add S to make it plural. Why? Because adding just an S would make the word very difficult to pronounce. The ES adds an extra syllable, making it flow smoothly. For example, one bus becomes two buses. Notice the EZ sound at the end. Let's try some more. One box becomes many boxes. One quiz becomes three quizzes. Notice we double the Z here. One watch becomes two watches. And one dish becomes a stack of dishes. Let's practice these together. Listen carefully to the ending sound and repeat. Buses, boxes, quizzes, watches, dishes. Excellent. It's also important to remember subject-verb agreement. Plural nouns take plural verbs. So you would say, these boxes are heavy, not these boxes is heavy. The verb are agrees with the plural noun boxes. Rule 3 deals with nouns ending in Y. The rule depends on the letter that comes before the Y. If a noun ends with a consonant plus Y, you change the Y to I and add es. For example, city. The letter before Y is T, a consonant. So one city becomes two cities. Another example is baby. B is a consonant, so one baby becomes two babies. Let's practice. City, cities. Party, parties. Story, stories. However, if the noun ends with a vowel plus Y, that is A, E, I, O, or U, you simply add S. For instance, toy. The letter O is a vowel, so it becomes toys. For key, E is a vowel, so it becomes keys. Let's repeat these. Toy, toys, key, keys, day, days. So, always check the letter before the I. Rule 4 is for many nouns ending in F or FA. For these, we often change the F or affaire to aves. This also changes the pronunciation from a soft F sound to a vibrating V sound. For example, one leaf becomes a pile of leaves. One knife becomes a set of knives. A wolf becomes a pack of wolves. Let's practice that sound change. Repeat after me. Leaf, leaves, knife, knives, life, lives. However, English loves exceptions. Some nouns ending in EF just take a simple S. Common examples include roof becoming roofs, chief becoming chiefs, and belief becoming beliefs. There isn't a strict rule for the exceptions, so it's best to learn the common ones you see and hear often. When in doubt, a quick dictionary check is always a good idea. Our final regular rule, Rule 5, concerns nouns ending in O. This one can be tricky because the rule is mixed. Some nouns take S, while others just take AS. Generally, if the AO is preceded by a consonant, you often add OS. For example, one tomato becomes two tomatoes. One hero becomes many heroes. One potato becomes a bag of potatoes. Let's say those tomatoes, heroes, potatoes. On the other hand, many nouns ending in O, especially those related to music or technology, just take AS. For example, one photo becomes many photos. One piano becomes two pianos. One radio becomes several radios. Practice these. Photos, pianos, radios. Because this rule has so many exceptions, the best strategy is to pay attention to how words are used in real texts. And when you're unsure, always check a dictionary. Now, let's move on to the fun part. Irregular plurals. These nouns don't follow any of the rules we've discussed. You simply have to memorize them. A common pattern involves changing the vowel sound inside the word. For example, one man becomes two men. Notice the sound change from man to men. Similarly, one woman becomes two women. Be careful with the pronunciation here. Woman becomes women. Let's practice that. Woman, women. Other examples include one tooth becoming a set of teeth and one foot becoming 2 feet. A goose becomes a flock of geese, and a mouse becomes a group of mice. Let's practice all of these aloud. Repeat after me. Men. Women, teeth, feet, geese, mice. These are very common in everyday English, so learning them is essential. Some irregular plurals are formed with completely different words or endings. The most common is person, which becomes people. We say, there is one person waiting, but there are 3 people waiting. Another crucial one is child, which becomes children. One child, many children. A less common one is ox, which becomes oxen. Then there are nouns that don't change at all. The singular and plural forms are exactly the same. Important examples are sheep, deer, and fish. You might see one sheep in a field, or you might see 100 sheep. One deer or a herd of deer. One fish or 10 fish. How do you know if it's one or many? The context of the sentence tells you. For example, this fish is small is singular, while these fish are small is plural. You will also encounter nouns that have been borrowed from other languages, like Latin and Greek, which often keep their original foreign plural endings. For example, the singular criterion becomes criteria. You might say, the main criterion for the job is experience. But there are several criteria you must meet. The word syllabus can become syllabi, or more commonly today, syllabuses. Cactus can be cacti or cactuses, and index can be indices, often used in technical contexts, or indexes. For many of these words, the English-style plural, like syllabuses or cactuses, is becoming more common and is perfectly acceptable in modern English. When in doubt, a reliable dictionary will show you which form is preferred. Next, we have a very important category, uncountable nouns, also known as non-count or mass nouns. These are nouns for things that we cannot count with numbers. They represent abstract ideas, liquids, materials, or collections of things that are treated as a whole. Because you can't count them, they do not have a plural form. You can't say one information or 2 furnitures. They always take a singular verb. Common examples of abstract ideas include advice, information, knowledge, and homework. Materials include water, rice, bread, and money. And collections include furniture, luggage, and traffic. So we say, the information is useful, not the informations are useful. We say, my luggage is heavy, not my luggages are heavy. And this furniture is expensive, not these furnitures are expensive. So if you can't count uncountable nouns, how do you talk about a specific quantity? We use words called partitives, or quantifiers. These are counter words that let us measure or portion out the uncountable noun. For example, you can't have an advice, but you can have a piece of advice. You can't have 3 breads, but you can have 3 loaves of bread or 3 slices of bread. Let's look at some common partitives. For liquids, we use a bottle of water or a cup of tea. For food, a slice of cheese or a bowl of rice. For abstract nouns, we often use a piece of or a bit of, like a piece of information or a bit of luck. We also use general quantifiers like some, any, much, and a lot of. For example, I need some money, or there isn't much traffic today. Let's practice. You can have 1 bottle of water or 2 bottles of water, 1 piece of furniture or many pieces of furniture. Let's review some common errors to help you use plurals perfectly. First, never add an as to uncountable nouns. Words like informations, advices, and furnitures are always incorrect. Instead, say, I need some information, or he gave me 2 pieces of advice. Second, watch out for apostrophes. An apostrophe is used to show possession, not to make a noun plural. So, you eat apples, plural, not apples. The apple's core is correct for possession, meaning the core of the apple. For plural possession, the apostrophe comes after the S. The teacher's lounge means the lounge for all the teachers. Third, remember your irregulars. Don't say child's or children's. The correct plural is children. Don't say mouses. The plural is mice. Finally, for compound nouns like mother-in-law, the plural is formed on the main noun, not at the end. So it's mothers-in-law, not mother-in-laws. Alright, it's time for a mini quiz to see what you've learned. I'll give you a sentence with a blank. Fill it in with the correct plural form of the noun in parentheses. Let's begin. 1, we bought. 2 are playing outside. Child, pause 3s, children. 3, I need some, I'm missing from the drawer. Knife, pause 3s, knives. 5, her 2, mouse, pause 3s, mice. 7, please wash all the in this park. Sheep, pause 3s, sheep, it stays the same. 9, I have 2, did you take on your vacation? Photo, pause 3s, photos. Fantastic work. Let's do a quick recap of what we covered. For most nouns, you simply add s. For nouns ending in s, x, z, ch, and esh, you add s. For nouns ending in a consonant plus y, change the y to eyes. For many nouns ending in f or fe, change the ending to ves. Remember to memorize the common irregular plurals like men, children, and feet, as well as those that don't change, like sheep and deer. Finally, treat uncountable nouns like water, advice, and furniture as singular, and use partitives like a piece of or a bottle of to count them. Now it's your turn to practice. Your task is to look around you right now and list 10 singular nouns. Then write their plural forms. After that, try to write 5 sentences using uncountable nouns with partitives. For example, I would like a glass of water. Share one of your sentences in the comments below. You did a great job today. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.